Hey there everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Pibwasser, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the top 10 fastest muscle cars in Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. Something I've always loved about the muscle class is you can see just how diverse and different all of these cars look. Like, yeah, some of the cars, for example, the Vagero Cx, has that very mean look that so do these cars, like the Dominator. But still, the fact that there's so many different looking vehicles, like the Hustler, to the Saber GT, to the, Gauntlet Custom Classic, there's just so many different vehicles in the muscle class. I think it is definitely one of my most diverse looking groups in the game. With that aside, there's one thing I want to point out when it comes to top speed, and that is I play on PC, meaning unfortunately I do not have access to the HSW variants. So, the two vehicles being the Dominator GT HSW and the Vagero Cx HSW I'm not able to showcase in today's video, but they are the fastest muscle cars in the game if you're playing on a newer generation console. The Dominator going in at a top speed of 141.3 and the Vagero Cx HSW at 157.5. That is just truly a ridiculous top speed. With that aside, we're going to be breaking into the top 10 fastest muscle cars that anybody can get their hands on. We're starting off with the Ruiner. This vehicle goes in at a top speed of 118.75 miles per hour. It's not the fastest car by any means, even for the muscles class. Some of the later vehicles definitely strip it by quite a bit on top speed. But the Ruiner, to be fair, is a game day one release car. I mean, the fact that this car still even gets in the top 10 for how old it is quite impressive. I also think it has some decent customization for how old the vehicle is. You got some massive exhaust you can put on the back of it. I don't know why I put them on it. I just thought it looked pretty cool, so might as well. And yeah, you can actually make this car look really, really sweet. I just kept it to that 90s little silver aesthetic that you'd find for a lot of 90s vehicles. But overall, the Ruiner is not a bad vehicle for top speed, handling, acceleration. It kind of has the whole shebang. And it's also very cheap at only $10,000. In fact, you can literally steal it off the street and just keep it for free. So overall, the Ruiner is just a really good bang for your buck, and if you're newer to the game, definitely a decent muscle car to get your hands on. The Dominator Asp is a tuner's muscle. This means that it can be used in the special tuners races in the LS car meet to earn yourself the podium vehicle. So already, if you're going for tuners vehicles, this is definitely a really cool one to get your hands on. Unfortunately, it's still not very fast, only going in at a top speed of 119 miles per hour, but it has much better handling and grip than, I would say, the Ruiner. You can see here it handles much more like a sports car than really a muscle. Even though it's rear-wheel drive, you'll see it really just doesn't lose any traction when doing the slalom here. So not bad at all on handling, actually really good handling. Also, it has fantastic customization. Because this is a newer released vehicle, and it's most specifically a tuner's vehicle, I mean, the customization I have on this vehicle, you could easily change out a lot of the stuff I've put on it, either the bumpers, the back of the car, the spoiler, and make it look like a completely different vehicle. So I actually think the Dominator Asp is a really awesome car, especially because it does have the ability to be raced in tuners class. But when it comes to top speed, if that's what you're specifically going for, it's definitely not going to get you very far, because I mean, heck, this here is just the classic Dominator, another vehicle that was released on day one in Grand Theft Auto Online 8 years ago. And I mean, this vehicle, it's pretty fast. It goes at a top speed of 120.25 miles per hour. It's also quite cheap at only $35,000. If you're new to the game, this is a great vehicle to get your hands on, because again, you can steal this off the street and just put insurance on it. It's that easy. Once you own this car, it's pretty simple, and it's in the 7th fastest muscle car slot. I mean, you could very easily use this in races to get your hands on some unlockable paints and stuff like that. Overall, the Dominator is just an awesome muscle car. It definitely lacks in the customization category. It is, although, a really old car, so I can't really blame Rockstar for not having customization on this vehicle, but it is a little bit disappointing. I really hope, just like how Rockstar did with the Turismo and the Zentorno, they kind of update this vehicle with some newer liveries and things like that, but I doubt it. Either way, still a pretty fast muscle car, and one that honestly looks really, really mean, based off very clearly the Ford Mustang. Next up, we have the Vapid Hustler. I don't know what this is based off. Maybe one of you can let me know in the comments down below. Some sort of Ford. But the Vapid Hustler is a weird-looking muscle car. You would not expect this to be in the top fastest muscles, but it actually has a pretty fast top speed, 121.25 miles per hour. And you'll notice it has insane acceleration. We're already going up to our top speed, so it's actually a very, very fast vehicle, but unfortunately, oh man, look at this handling. Its turning is awful. It's the worst handling muscle car out of all in the list here. And because of that, it just has an absolutely atrocious lap time. So the Hustler is really just a drag race vehicle. Now, one cool thing that you can do with all the muscle cars is obviously do wheelies, and the Hustler, it can get a really, really sick wheelie off if you're able to do it correctly. So it's a cool car, just nothing that I'd really ever suggest to get, especially for $625,000. Its handling isn't good, and it's kind of a weird looking car. Definitely not my style when it comes to muscles, but still a really unique vehicle. Next up, we have a car I really, really like the look of, and that is the Saber Turbo Custom. I actually think the normal Saber Turbo looks better. I wish Rockstar created a bit less, you know, tunery style liveries for this vehicle that were like lowrider style, gang style. But overall, I still think this car looks great. And it actually has a really good top speed of 121.25, same as the Vapid Hustler. But the big difference between this and the Hustler is that this actually has one of the best lap times by far when it comes to the muscle class. Look at this fantastic handling here. Like, sure, it drifts, but it very easily can turn corners, as you can see here. So that's the big advantage when it comes to the Saber Turbo, is the fact that it has great handling in the muscles class. And also, it's got some very wonky suspension because obviously it is a Benny's vehicle, so you can do some jumps and stuff like that. Definitely not my favorite vehicle in the game because of its weird customization. I like actually the normal, uncustomized Benny's version better, but still, very nice car, and I think it looks really, really nice. Definitely based off of a Chevy SF series of some sort like that. Next up, we have the Vagero Cx, which is very, very clearly a modern Camaro. The Vagero Cx is truly one of the nicest looking muscle cars in the game. It looks mean. It's a mean fighting machine. I mean, I have nothing to complain about when it comes to looks. Definitely one of my favorite looking muscles in the game. And when it comes to top speed, it's not bad either. 125 miles per hour, a big leap over the Saber Turbo Custom. Now, its handling is bad. You'll see here it's really bad. Like, you can just very easily spin it out, which would definitely make it quite bad for racing, especially when we compare it to some of the other cars. But it's a muscle car, and muscle cars aren't always going for lap time. So it's fast. It's really fast. And if you have the HSW variant on PC, or not PC, but new-gen consoles, it's even faster. So overall, I think the Vagero Cx is a fantastic looking vehicle. It sounds amazing. There's really no downside to this car apart from the handling, but I purchased it. I mean, this is what mine looks like because I love the look of the vehicle. I mean, I just can't say no to such a nice looking muscle car. Next up, we have another fantastic looking muscle. This is, I think, the Demon, the Dodge Demon. I might be mistaken, but it's obviously some sort of Dodge muscle car. And it looks sweet. I mean, look at that front hood. Oh yeah, I love watching the engine just suck in that air scoop. But either way, this is another extremely fast muscle going in at a top speed of 125.25 miles per hour. We got a wheelie bar in the back. I'm not sure if the wheelie bar actually does anything. No, it looks like it actually just doesn't really help us at all. But this is a fast car, and unlike the Vagero, it actually has pretty decent handling. A little bit better, as you can see, it doesn't sort of spin out on every corner. It's still not the best on handling, but if you're going for handling, you're really not looking at the muscle class the correct way, in my opinion. Overall, I think the car sounds amazing, and it also has some fantastic customization allowed for it. I actually think that this car sounds better and honestly looks better than the Vagero Cx. I know the Vagero looks really, really nice, but I just think that the customization and the mean look of this vehicle actually is a bit better. Next up, we have the Gauntlet Custom. I love this car. It's based off the Daytona Superbird. And yeah, it's just my favorite looking vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. One of my favorites, by far. I've been waiting for years for Rockstar to release this vehicle. And I mean, you can tell why. First of all, it's got pop-up headlights. That right there is a flat dub. But look at how sick this thing is. In real life, this was one of the fastest vehicles ever to reach the NASCAR track. In fact, I think it still is the fastest vehicle ever to race at NASCAR. It's just such an amazing looking vehicle. Now, Grand Theft Auto Online has a top speed of 125.5 miles per hour. Not the fastest vehicle in the game by any means, but it still is quite fast. And it actually has one of the fastest top speeds in general when it comes to the muscle car class. Unfortunately, its handling is really bad, as you'll see, unlike in Daytona where this vehicle was actually meant for racing. Yeah, in GTA, you're not going to be using this for racing, but let's be real, this car just looks amazing. I can never diss a car that looks this sweet, and yeah, this is just one of my favorite cars to drive in the game. I would suggest to buy it just because of how cool it does look. You got the big old wang on the back, just an amazing looking vehicle. Either way, one of the fastest muscles, period. Next up, we have another very new vehicle, and probably the muscle I would suggest to buy out of all the bunch, being the Buffalo STX. Now, why? Well, it's not the meanest looking. I think that the Superbird looks meaner, and I also think that the Vagero and the Gauntlet Hellfire look meaner. This is based off the Dodge Hellcat. But let's talk about the advantages the vehicle has as a muscle class. First of all, it's fast. Breaks the 126 mph barrier at 126.25. It as well has machine guns mounted on it. Also, it has semi-bulletproof windows. None of the other vehicles carry this, which is a pretty big plus. It can also survive 12 homing rockets, and it can't even be locked on with homing missiles. It is expensive. It's coming in at a price tag of $2.15 million. But, I mean, for everything you're getting, this is by far just the best all-round muscle car in the game, because it's got armor, it's got top speed, it has pretty decent handling, and it still looks really, really mean. And hey, it's got a sprunk livery. How can you say no to it? Plus, it's a four-seater, which is basically a dub because none of these other vehicles are four-seaters. So overall, I actually think the Gauntlet is just a fantastic vehicle in general, and I would definitely suggest to get your hands on it. Wait, this isn't a Gauntlet. This is a Bravado, right? I don't know. Either way, finally over here, we have this being the Pibwasser Dominator. You wouldn't think that this is the fastest muscle car in the game, but it is. 126.5 miles per hour. It has the exact same customization as the normal Gauntlet, but it just has a much faster top speed. And judging that, you can get this vehicle for free. No joke. If you just go to Southern San Andreas, you can watch me do it right here, and we go to, I guess it's two-door, right? And we just sort by price, and we go to cheapest. There it is, Vapid Pibwasher Dominator. This vehicle is free. You can get your hands on it as a new player for absolutely free. And the fact that this has a top speed of 126.5, it also looks really nice with that livery on it, especially I've painted mine black, as you can see. Overall, it's just great. It's great that a free car is the fastest of all the muscles in Grand Theft Auto Online. I bet you didn't think that, but yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll do fastest sports cars, fastest supercars, fastest everything in the game. I think that'll be quite fun. But hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.